Is the problem right now in Ann Arbor the coach, or is it the expectations? Let me bring that to the table here. These two were promising fire in my direction. Finebaum, I'm starting with you. What do you think?
You're wrong. I mean, Harbaugh has trouble against top 10 opponents. You've seen that stat. The biggest problem at Michigan isn't the expectations or isn't Harbaugh. It's the fans. They have the most delusional fan base in America. In what way? They think they're Alabama. But they have the tradition of Wake Forest.
How am I wrong? I just said literally that. What part of that? You and I are saying the same thing. How am I wrong?
I just wanted to say you were wrong.
Okay, fair enough. But if by wrong you mean exactly right, Greenie, I'll take it.
Can we start over again?
Yes.
Okay, no. The point being, Greenie, that you're making it all about Ohio State, and I think it's much broader than that.
Go ahead, Dan. Tell me where I'm wrong.
The down barrel was outstanding, but you're wrong.
That goes without saying.
You're wrong in regards to it's not just about the expectations. From 16 to 19, 2016 to 2019, Ohio State had 69 4- or 5-star recruits. They've had 18 guys become first or second round draft picks, okay? Mm-hmm. In that same time period, Michigan has had 71 4- or 5-star recruits. They've had 4 guys become first or second round draft picks. So your expectations are being kind of proven or verified by the recruiting that you're doing, but then they're getting shattered by the lack of player development that's going on at Michigan. So the expectation isn't because, oh, we should be really good because of our past. The expectation is going, boy, Jim Harbaugh, you're getting a bunch of really good players. You're getting more than the schools that we're losing against, yet they're producing way more NFL talent. So is he doing his job as a head coach of developing those players to be great college football players that go to the NFL early?
Go ahead, Duncan. I want to hear, you also told me you disagree.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree because to me, whenever Jim Harbaugh has an opportunity to make a statement game, whenever he has an opportunity to definitively say, we've been saying, is Texas back? Michigan is back, or Michigan is whatever they are. He always ends up not only losing, but getting routed. And yes, I do think that the Ohio State is a factor because guess what Brady Hoke did? He beat Ohio State. And you are judged by those things. If this is the bitterest rival, the best rivalry in all of sports, you are judged by whether you can take them down. And the Urban Meyer effect aside, it's now Ryan Day, and you're still unable to show up. You're not showing up.
I agree with you. Michigan is here, Ohio State is here, and here's why. When Gene Smith, when they transitioned from Urban Meyer to Ryan Day, it was interesting what he said. The system is in place. The culture works. Mickey Marotti, player development, great strength coach. They take, as you said, Dan, good recruits, and they make them first-rounders. 12 first-rounders to Michigan's 4. So you're right. It's not an elite program. It's a good program. And the eyes of the NFL, from a scouting perspective, it starts in Columbus. It does not start in Ann Arbor because they develop their players in a much.
Why can't it be elite though?
It's not elite. Ohio State's elite. Alabama's elite. Clemson's elite.
Everyone would like to be elite. Michigan has won 11 national championships. All but one of them were 70 years ago or longer. That's the point I'm making. Swagoo, what do you have to say?
I 100% agree with you, Greenie. I got killed for saying this about LSU a few years ago. Like, let's not have a false perception. We obviously know that Michigan is judged a lot about if they beat Ohio State or not. That's irrelevant to the point that you're making. The point that you're making is you guys haven't done anything in 70 years. Why is there this misnomer that a coach that comes in and wins 10 games, granted making a lot of money, granted hadn't beat Ohio State, and they say they brought him in for that reason alone, why is there now this perception that Michigan should be competing for national championships when it hasn't happened? I talked about it the same thing. Look, this is a culmination of Ohio State. This is what dominant schools in each conference do. They create these whole environments around the whole conference. Coaches get fired. Players are not held to the same type of standard. We talk about them, and then we talk about everybody else. That's the conversation that transpired in the SEC for the last 8 years
Marcus,
because perception was LSU was supposed to be the team that came through and beat Alabama. It's the same thing going on in the Big Ten with Michigan, and the perception is wrong because Michigan hasn't won anything.
Go ahead, Paul.
Marty, this is Paul. By the way, whatever you said is great, but I'm just really relieved to know that the kidnappers let you free from that last time you were on.
But here's the thing, though, Greenie, is like national championships aside, they're not even competing for their division. And that's the point, is that, like, you're talking about $7.5 million for a coach to orchestrate you to third in your division.
Guys,
that doesn't hold water.
Bo Schembechler was famous for quoting the phrase, "Those who stay will be champions." That's the expectation.
Wait, were you not listening? How many championships did Bo Schembechler win as the head coach of Michigan?
National championship.
Zero.
How many
Zero.
Big Ten did he win?
A lot of them.
Okay.
Yes, a lot. Like, I think it was 13.
He choked away a few, though.
Okay, so how many has Jim Harbaugh won?
So far, none.
Okay, so
We don't.
those who stay will be champions isn't happening.
Let me hear from Marcus. Go ahead, because you're screaming.
We don't count district championships in major college football, Dan Orlovsky. You know that. Don't nobody care about that. LSU ain't mentioned that they won the SEC West. Auburn didn't mention they won the SEC West. Everybody wants to win their league and win a championship. That's the climate that we're living in. So when we talk about Jim Harbaugh winning the national championship, it's something that hasn't happened in over 70 years. People had this high expectation when Nick Saban came into LSU. It had been 45 years since LSU had been to a national championship and won it. You know what we weren't known as? As elite or a powerhouse. And nobody should have had that perception. That was created by winning national championships. It wasn't created by beating Alabama, wasn't created by beating Auburn or Ole Miss. That was created by winning national championships. That is what you're judged on. So as much as we can get crazy about Michigan beating Ohio State, all right, and we know that that's a part of the narrative. That does not mean that Jim Harbaugh is not a good coach. I think we all agree with that. The bottom line is you are judged on national championships.
Hey, Marcus, how does Iowa and Purdue beat Ohio State and Michigan can't with all of its infrastructure?
Spears, you know this. There is a man by the name of Mark Richt who orchestrated many a 10-win seasons at UGA. No, at UGA, and that wasn't good enough. It's not like UGA has a plethora of championships. They had one before I was born, and that was still not good enough for them. So they parted ways in a very controversial way with someone that they knew was never going to take them there. And 2 years later, with Kirby Smart, they're playing in the national championship. And that's the point, is that whether there's a history of championships or not, there is an expectation that 10 wins should not be enough. Juwan Howard has done more for Michigan athletics in 2 months than Jim Harbaugh's done in his years there.
I'm beyond disappointed in you and Marcus Spears.
How many
for
years?
sitting here going like, good is the expectation level. Let's just be good. Every other school in the country is trying to, let's be great. Let's go win a championship.
but
you guys
Dan,
are like, you know what, we've been good.
A great Michigan man by the name of Tom Brady today used the words realistic expectations. And that is what I think they need in Ann Arbor. And the most disturbing thing of this entire conversation is that when Georgia won the championship, you weren't born yet? My God, that makes me feel extraordinary.
I was not.
Because I remember where I was when I watched it.
Man, you love Ed Orgeron because he's bringing you guys a
way,
national championship conversation this year.
By the way, question.
Yeah.
Has Georgia won since they fired Rick?
They have played in one, and they have played in their. They have at the very least played in their conference championship.
Let's see where we are Saturday night.
You probably
They're
want a
playing
trophy.
in one
You
on
probably want a
Saturday,
trophy just for
Spears.
participating.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app, and for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.